Yeah, I think it's in Ireland we struggle with CET time, don't we? We can't remember what hour of the day it is.
It's the same here if we talk with Romanians, for example, or Ukrainians.
Yes,
because
they're another hour ahead of you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yes, or
Yes.
with Greeks, that's Cyprus. It's the same. I always have to check it out. Which one is which one? And if I see CET, it's okay for me. But if I see CES, sometimes I see CES, and sometimes I see GMS. So it's confusing.
I know, because I notice that when I'm doing it now, I put Irish time, like, because then I don't, which isn't very technically correct, but at least it's an indication of it. Thomas, Oscar, Thomas. Okay, Marie. Excellent.
And also my camera.
Yeah, we have it going, Peter, now. We can see you as well.
I'm here. I'm always here. Here in my son's room, because that's the most silent room in the house right now. So
it's really good. So Thomas and Sandra and Mary, I think I can hear you. Okay. Thomas, that's fine if you can't speak because you're at work. Okay, will you be able to speak later? Be able to speak later?
I don't know if you are talking.
No, Sandra, I'm just conscious. I'm just watching the chat, Sandra, and Thomas has just mentioned that he can't speak because he's at work. But hello, Sandra, as well. Delighted to see you.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm not yet with my camera on because I'm just finished. Because today I took the day off my work, so I can also be very very close up to this meeting because I really wanted to know all that you are working with. And in my work, I could not be paying such attention. But I just need to finish my lunch and then I will put my camera on.
That's
okay.
Perfect. That's absolutely fine. So Thomas, I'm conscious you're saying that you don't know if you can talk. So when we ask a question, please do use the chat and you can respond that way if that's okay. Marie, is it Marie or Giselle?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, I wasn't sure what was your name. Is it Marie you would like to be called, or?
Yeah, Marie is fine.
That's perfect. How are you, Marie?
I'm good. How are you?
That's fine. Okay. We'll just wait for Petra to come back and then we'll get started because I'm conscious of the time as well, Peter, and we'll lose things. So I'm not sure where everybody else is at this point in time, but by the time we've started introductions, we can perhaps start again. What do you think, Petra, or do you want us to hang on for another few minutes? We should start, even though there's...
Yeah, we can start. I think we have, we were polite and waited 5 minutes, so you can start.
That's okay. So we'll start with some introductions as well. I mean, my name is Bridget Kerwin. I'm based in Toos in Ireland, and our colleague, my colleague, our friend Peter Tuth is the expert that we're all going to listen to later on in just a few minutes, who's based in Hungary. And Petra Sagoni is also here, and she's the Run EU coordinator for our Hungarian partners. So that's Petra, whose surname I did not pronounce correctly, but anyway, that's where it is. So we're delighted that you can join. We're actually meant to be, I think, 11 altogether participants. So I'm not quite sure where everybody else is, and they may join as we go along. through the day. But we thought we'd just take a minute just to ask you a little bit about yourself. And Thomas, I'm conscious if you can type and just, my question was, where are you? And what would you like to get out of this workshop? I think that's the questions. So Sandra, if it's okay to start with you, and I'm conscious, as I said, you can't put on your camera, but if everybody else can put on your camera, that would be great, because it's lovely to be able to talk to faces. But I'm conscious that it may not be the case. So Sandra, you want to tell us a little bit about where you are and also what you'd like to get out of the workshop?
So I'm currently in my kitchen. I'm sorry.
There's no problem. Peter's in his room, like I'm in somebody else's office in the things in. So please, no, don't. This is the world we live in now.
Yes, it is, and it's also great that we can live in these days, because then we can, learn while we cook and while we do a bunch of things, and that is a wonderful world, at least for me, because I'm an eternal learner. And so I am in an island in Portugal called Madeira. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yes.
Where Cristiano Ronaldo was born. Maybe it is better for you to make the connection. And I'm finishing my master's degree in Leiria Polytechnic. So it's one of your partners. And as soon as I saw this workshop, and as it was online, for me it would be better. I am very interested in that, because I work mainly with young adults, also in NGO, and so and I work. Well, my master thesis is about artistic practices and the way that they empower the individual, and that in the end will contribute as community development. So this workshop has everything to do about it. So I wanted to know more of my colleagues around the world, what they are doing. Also, maybe even other ideas, other projects that I could implement here in Madeira. It would be
excellent. That's great, Sandra. And like with the workshop, we're going to have a mixture of Peter's going to do a presentation in a little while, and then we'll have a chance for discussion and hopefully share some of the ideas between everybody as well. So that's fantastic. Thanks, Sandra. Marie, if I can come to you next. And if it's okay, if you're not too bothered about the kitchen, we're happy with the kitchen as well. So if you want to leave it on as you wander around, that's great. Marie, can you tell us a little bit about where you are?
Hello. As said, my name is Esio Masimbi. I'm a student in Hungary. And yeah, attending this workshop, it's among the courses that I have to attend. And when I saw this topic, it's an interesting topic, and I hope to learn a lot from it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Marie, and please, if you can leave on the camera, we'd be delighted. But if it's not suitable, that's okay too. But delighted that you're here. And I'm conscious, Thomas, if you want to tell us a little bit in text where you are, and also what you're interested in the module or in the presentation is, that will be great. Sasha, not pronouncing your name properly.
Hi, hello.
Hi, sorry, I'm not sure. Is Sasha your correct name?
No, it's actually Shomik. My
Sorry.
last name is Shomik. Yeah,
apologies.
it's okay.
So where are you, Shomi?
I'm same as Giselle. I'm also a student here in Hungary studying civil engineering. And to be honest, I have very little idea about the topic and the workshop. So I hope to,
that's okay.
As we go on, I hope to learn more about it.
That's okay. And it's really interesting having an engineering perspective as well, because it's coming from a different place, and kind of with research, I think one of the interesting places is like cross-modular, cross-perspective learning. So we'd be delighted to have your input anyway. So from a practical point of view, then we're, as I said, we're encouraging people insofar as you can to put on your camera, because it helps, I think, when Peter's doing a presentation. The format for now will be that Peter is going to do a presentation based on his research. In the middle of it, he has some activities as well. And then we will have a chance towards the end to have a discussion about what your own experience is from wherever you come from or whatever part of the world that you're in, to share the perspective on the topic, and then for us to have a chat. So it'll be relatively informal, but we're looking forward to it. I have the chat open, so at any stage, if there's a question or a comment, or you want something to come back, you don't want us to come back to something, please do use it. I said, Thomas, I'm going to articulate for Thomas since he can't speak. He says he's a PhD student and an associate professor of administrative and labour law, and he wants to continue his doctorate and continue to work at the same time, which is a big challenge. So he wants to take it up seriously. So he's also a researcher, but trying to work and practice at the same time, which is difficult. So just briefly, I'm just going to share this little note and then we'll get started all together, and I'll hand over to Peter. So in the module, in the topic, as I said, this is roughly what our agenda will be, kind of the outline of the plan, which is just now a presentation, and we will have a short quiz, some discussion and feedback. And we've set this out. Can you see that? Are you happy? Yeah, it's visual. That's perfect. So this is setting out basically the objectives that we have for the topic, and it'll be based, a lot of the presentation, on Peter's research in Hungary, and looking and linking that to some of the sociological theories attached to that kind of thinking and risk in society, and really be interested in adding your perspective to it. So our learning outcomes is kind of a question about the question of the postmodern world, the language of liquid modernity and what it means, and the risk society, and looking at, as I said, Giddens, Beck and Bauman as some of the theorists that we'd look at. And what is the difference between financial literacy and insurance literacy might be a question that we'll get to. It'll take some time. And how can what we know in terms of the modern world and young people and how they perceive risk, how can we take that and bring it into our own research and into the development of whatever research topic that we have. So our discussion will be about kind of your experience of young adults in Europe and compared to what Peter's going to talk about in terms of Hungary, and just that kind of question. So I'll just stop sharing now, and I'm going to hand over to Peter to share his presentation. And Thomas, thank you for it. You've got also like to hear you speak in English, even if I'm not going to use it in my pieces. So if I'm speaking too fast at any stage, because that's one of my challenges in life, please tell me to slow down. But I'd like to introduce you to Peter Toth, who is my Hungarian colleague in this Run EU project. And really this workshop and the research is based on the work that Peter has been doing in the last while. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, I've seen a preview of the presentation, so I'm really looking forward to it and delighted to be here to share kind of this learning with you, Peter. So I'm going to hand over to you to share your expertise now, and then we'll come back and have a discussion in a little while.
Thank you,
so
Bridget. Thank you for
done.
the professional introduction. Yes, my name is Peter Todt. Petra is Szakonyi Petra, if you want to learn Hungarian, just a little bit. And I'm a sociologist and a historian. And I work here in Győr, in Hungary, in Széchenyi University. So, and what I will be talking about is somehow connected to my last 4 years of research. One is connected to a longitudinal research, which is a Hungarian national research, and the other one is about our own research here at the university, and I try to combine these two researches together and somehow put a theoretical background next to it. So whenever you have any questions, feel free to ask. It's not a lecture. It's more like, I would like to be it more like to be a discussion. So if you have any remarks or any questions, please feel free to ask or raise your hand, because there's a hand in Teams where you can say that you want to say something, or just write in the chat if it's possible. Okay, I will share my screen with you, which is
yes, that's perfect. We can see
which
it.
is, I think, this is my and first of all, yes, the whole thing, or the whole research, because sociologists are mostly research their own national level, because this is a rather difficult thing to do, to compare nations, to compare countries, if you are talking about societies, because societies differ a lot. So I try to get some information, or fetch some information on a European level, for example, on these matters, and I could hardly find anything. So most of the cases, most of the researches are on national level. So that's why I will be talking about mostly Hungary. But first, I would like to start with a picture, because I have to somehow make a framework out of it. Anyone knows where this picture is from, and what this picture symbolizes? You can type in, or you can just shout.
I think it's from the miniseries Chernobyl.
Yes, you're right. So, yeah, Shomik is right. This is from the miniseries Chernobyl. Why am I talking about Chernobyl? Because I was a really small kid when the whole thing happened. It happened in 1986. So it was in the last half of the 20th century, and I was a little kid, and it just happened before the 1st of May. So last week we had Bridget said that they have a bank holiday on the first Monday after the 1st of May, because that's a national holiday everywhere in almost in every European country. I think all of the European countries have that bank holiday or national holiday, and it happened before May the 1st. And I remember, or this is what my family, every family has some stories about it, because Chernobyl is not far from Hungary. It's in Ukraine, and we were living in a socialist era. So there was a socialist rule in Hungary in that year. The wall just came down in Germany 5 years later. So the whole socialist regime and system collapsed 5 or 6 years later in Europe, in Eastern Europe. And we went out, because 1st of May was a holiday. Everyone went out. It was a sunny day. We had parades. We went to the garden. We ate salad. And while some of the Western countries already knew that something happened in Ukraine, and a cloud with all the radioactive matter just came to Central Eastern Europe. So we had that cloud on that day. So this series is somehow part of my life, part of my childhood, part of my family history. And this is also a part of the theoretical background of the whole story I want to talk about, what world we are live in, although it's from the 20th century. But right now we have the same problem. Just remember Fukushima in Japan, or just remember the COVID pandemic we have certain years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we have that. So and the whole theoretical background of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about liquid modernity and risk society, because these are the two terms, or the two theories that can make us a framework to work with. The whole risk society term was coined by Ulrich Beck. He's a German sociologist, and he's on the right of the picture. So that's Ulrich Beck. He worked at the Munich University of Munich. And right after Chernobyl, he started to think about what is happening right now in this modern world, or postmodern world we live in, that we have certain problems, certain events that affects us, and we just can't, we just bear the consequences, and we just can't do anything about those events, or about those effects. And that's how he coined risk society. And the guy in the middle, he's an Englishman, and his name is Anthony Giddens. I think whenever you learn sociology in Europe, his name always comes up, because he wrote the big sociology book, or Introduction to Sociology, but that book is used everywhere in Europe, I think. Bridget, am I right? Do you use his book?
Yes, it's like a Bible, I think.
Yeah,
when
it's a Bible.
Using any of the social topics.
And it has I think the 11th or 13th version is out right now from that book. So he also used that term, risk society, that there are certain types of risks, and this is not a postmodern society. This is over that, and that's the other term, liquid modernity, is somehow leading to this risk society term, and that term was coined by the old man on the left of the picture. His name is Zygmunt Bauman, and actually he's a Polish sociologist. He just fled to the U.S. During the Second World War, and he made a career in the United States. And in the late 70s and the early 80s, he coined that term, liquid modernity, which means that nothing is stable around us. Everything is moving, everything is changing, everything is in a constant flux around us. So all those rules, all those norms, all those cultural plans, rules, what we have, or what we were given by the other generations, or inherited to us by the other generations, we can just put them into a paper basket, because everything changed, or everything changes constantly. Zygmunt Bauman said that the main machine behind all this liquidity is technological advancement. So all the technological innovation and he just listed, the first on his list is the computer and the internet. He wrote that this is that makes a society which can't be learned, because we always have to adapt. So from time to time we have to rethink our place in society. So this is the theoretical background, and it means that this is not, and this was a really big debate about modernity, how modernity improves, where the humankind will go. And this is right before the war collapsed in Germany, right before socialism disappeared. So the socialism regimes disappeared from Eastern Europe. And right now we are in the 21st century. And I think this debate is on, and it has more. So the list of Zygmunt Bauman had just more points on it. And next to Chernobyl, we have some more risk factors around us. So the environmental issue came into the sociological thinking right after Chernobyl, and it's still with us, and it still affects us, and it also affects our young adults, because we say that we are living in a constant change, and it's very, very difficult for those who are growing up right now in this constantly changing environment to get a stable ground and have a normal life. The normal life, what the other generations say that this is normal life. If, for example, if you just think how old is Mr. Trump in the United States, who wants to be a president right now? I think he's over almost 80 right now. And what was his main slogan right before he became the president the first time? He said, "Let's make America great again." And the great America was his childhood, the 40s, the 50s. So when we are talking about a normal society, or when our generation or our parents or grandparents' generation is talking about a normal life, they are talking about the era before the liquid modernity, the era before the risk society. They just can't adapt to these days, or they have really they have to put in really big effort to adapt to these days. And we have a generation that born into this whole situation. So how they feel themselves, and what are they fear of nowadays? What are their greatest fears? And now I would like to ask you, because I made a question out on Menti, on a Mentimeter that is menti.com, and that is the link. And I can send you the link in a chat if it's a more proper way, if you need that. Do I have to send it, or can you use the QR
it's
code?
opening using the QR code anyway. Okay. If anybody wants to, if you can scan it on the QR code, it works.
If you can scan it, or if you can just
Sandra asked that we could just post it into the chat as well.
Okay, I'll try
put the link in chat.
Okay, I put the link in the chat, and please I will try to. Okay. Share it in the chat with you. This is it, and I hope it works. I don't know.
It works with the QR code for sure. So do you want us to
yes, please,
fill in the form right
answer
now?
The question.
Okay.
Yeah, answer the question, please. I don't know which question, because I have two questions for you, and I really don't know which question can you see.
Sorry, we're seeing the one with what are you afraid of? Like, the world, the politicians, or the environment.
Okay.
That's
so
the one we see at the moment.
Anyway, okay, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Please answer the question, and I will show you what the Hungarians' questions were after you put your answers in it, and then we can compare it. And while you are doing the quiz, well, this is not a quiz. This is a real question from the questionnaire. Where this question is coming from? This is coming from the Hungarian youth questionnaire. We have this survey in every 4 years in Hungary. And right now, what I will show you are the results from the 2020, the year 2020 survey. Right now we are in 2024, so the next wave is coming this year. That's why I can't show you the new results. Okay, if the results are here, let me, okay. Questions. Where can I not result? Okay. How can I show you the results? So
might have to just screen share.
That's
Sure.
what I want. Yeah, but I have to come up with the okay.
Just come out of this one and
top questions, most recent. No questions from the others. Okay. Response sending presentation. Okay.
they're really interesting questions, I think, to ask and to think about, aren't they? The ones we've just done, because it's quite a breadth of thinking about. And I'm wondering if everybody else here kind of is going to be thinking the same way. Are you okay to go?
Yeah, I will just manage view results. Okay, I have the view results. No results here. I have to go back to the other one. Let's see. The guy with the view results, and I will just pull into my screen. No questions, responses. How can I see the?
You might have to stop sharing this one and then share the other one.
Okay. Summary. Here is it. Here it is. Okay, I will just put it in here, and I will show you your. Now everything's gone, but I won't give up.
We're still seeing the screen.
Okay, I won't give up. I would like to. Okay.
There you go. We can see it now.
Okay. Okay, these are your answers. So this little group is really afraid of politicians misgoverning the country. So that's your biggest fear. The next one is world pandemic. So if there will be any world pandemic again. The next one is a next world war. Right now we are heading to a world war. I will show you the results of 2020, and this was before the Ukrainian-Russian war. So there were no such wars around Hungary. So this will be a great difference between your answers and the answers of the Hungarians. Migration to Europe is somewhere in between. The climate changes and the world economic crisis is also a higher one. And the lowest one is you are not afraid of artificial intelligence. That's good to know. Okay, I will show you the results of the Hungarians. So I will just find out. So these were their results from the 2020. They were really afraid of the pandemic, because we were in the middle of the pandemic. So they were really afraid of pandemic at that point. So that was the biggest fear of their. The other big fear is climate change for them. This is really interesting, because after these questions, we also asked them what they want to do about these things. Do they have anything to do about these things? And of course, there are some certain risks and problems that you can't manage, or you just can't do anything about it. But the climate change is the thing that we are always constantly get information what to do or what not to do in order to prevent climate change on a personal level. I don't know whether you have the debate on plastic straws, for example, in your country. Right now in Hungary, you can't use a plastic straw, for example. And when we ask the Hungarian youngsters, and one more thing, who are these Hungarian youngsters? The whole survey is they ask Hungarian young adults and youngsters from the age of 15 to the age of 29. So that this is our population here. When we ask them whether they can, so what is important for us, and as you can see, they say climate change is really, they are really afraid of climate change, but they just don't do anything about it. So they just don't want to do, they are lazy, to tell you the truth. So when you ask them, what do you do in order to, on a personal level, to prevent climate change, they just don't do nothing. Because they have other problems, and I will show you what are those other problems they are facing. And yes, they are not afraid of artificial intelligence, but this is before ChatGPT just kicked in, because ChatGPT is, I don't know, it's more or less 1 or 2 years we have that kind of service and affects us, affects our everyday life. And they are not afraid of robots as well. So these are two questions these two questions just differ from all the others, because all the others are somehow risk society questions. Okay, I will show you the other problems they have. And this is these are the problems they have, because the questionnaire or the survey asked them what do they think is the most pressing problem. So these are not risks, but their fear from these problems, what Hungarian people have to face today in Hungary. Today is 2020, of course. And their biggest fear or their biggest problem is uncertainty. So the whole liquid society, liquid modernity, risk society framework can be understood here, or can be underlined here, because our young generation have a high level of uncertainty, and they say that this is a really, really big problem for them, that they can't predict the future at all. So the survey was filled by 8,000 youngsters in Hungary, which is a vast number if you make a survey in Hungary. And 23.4% of them ticked this one as a big problem. The second one is financial difficulties and impoverishment and poverty in Hungary. And the third one, which is much more lower in percentage, is lack of purpose, because they don't know what they want. And this is also somehow connected to this liquid modernity thing, that we don't have a proper strong ground where we can stand on and see what will come to us. Just understand that here in Hungary, our parents or our grandparents had a career, and I think that's the same in Europe, in other countries in Europe, they could have a career at one workplace, for example, that could have only one job for a lifetime. This is not the case right now. So, and the fourth one is really, really interesting, that lack of friendship and lack of communities, which is also connected somehow to that liquid modernity thing, because we live our life online. This workshop is also online, so we are not sitting around the table on chairs and see the gestures, and we can't feel the vibe around the table, and that's what they feel as well. So the Hungarian youngsters feel this as well, although they have plenty of channels to have contacts, make contacts, but that's not the same. If we are talking about communities, or those are not the same if we are talking about online communities or compare it to online communities, and so on and so on. We have the proliferation of drugs, the unemployment, difficulties in finding jobs. And what I would like to, because I told you that this is this was a research, or this is a research which is taken in every 4 years, and I would like to tell you the list from the first research, which was made in 2000. So it was before Hungary became the member of the European Union. We were just coming out from a really big economic crisis. So the first problem, what youngsters in 2000 say that it was their main problem, was unemployment at that time. So you can see that in 2020, unemployment just fell down, and only 5% of the respondents said that it's a problem. We are part of the European Union, so it's much more easier to get a job, or to go abroad and migrate and seek a future somewhere else and find a job somewhere else. So the world opened for Hungarians since 2000. The second one is also something that is on the down part of the list. That was housing, not enough housing problems. And the third one was lack of money and low earnings. And the fourth one was drug use. So drug use is always somewhere up there. And the fifth one was poverty and insecurity. So these are the problems what Hungarian young adults told us that they have. Okay, what they can do about it, what can be done to prevent these problems to occur? Can you do anything about risks? What can be done to prevent those things? There were some questions also concerning these things. And first of all, I would like to show you the, not this one. It responds really slowly, and then, okay. Okay, so this one. Overall, are you more confident or afraid of the future? That was another question. That's the simple question. And then they could think. It was a scale from 1 to 5, and 1 was that the respondent has a strong fear of the future, and the number 5 was that the respondent has strong confidence in the future. So more optimistic, from more negative to more optimistic to more positive way of thinking. And as you can see, they are positive, although they have this uncertain ground. They are standing on an uncertain ground, but they want to be happy. They want to have a good life. They want to become someone. So they are not fear of the future, although they have plenty of problems. They have plenty of risks. So positivity is the other side of this thing here in Hungary. And the last thing I want you to show is what they can do. What can these youngsters do? Or this was another question, or a group of questions in the survey. The question was about, we would like to know how the factors listed below contribute to you not having to worry about your future. So they are not worried about the future. They have positive thinking mostly. They have positive or neutral way of thinking into the future. But these are the things that they said. These were questions So not a free form was given to them. So the makers of the survey come up with these solutions. And as you can see, that they are absolutely agree that a good family relationship is important to not to worry about the future, which is not a modern thing. Or we always say that families are collapsing, families are vanishing, family life is crumbling, whatever. This is the most well-known institution of the social life, and they are clinging to family and relationships. So they want to have family, they want to marry, they want to have children, for example. So this is a special way to deal with the normal future. Although there are less and less children born in Hungary, so the Hungarian population is decreasing very, very rapidly. So they want this, but the reality is not this. But they need good family. They need good relationship. The other thing they need is a better financial situation than they are in present. Of course, they are in their early career because they are young adults. So they want to move on. They want to have a career. And the other one is, yes, balanced political leadership. You also take the politicians, and they don't want to make their own business. So they don't want to make their own career. Hungarians are not keen on doing their own businesses. They just don't like to do that. So this is a special Hungarian thing, or a special Eastern European thing. I don't know, because if you compare us to the Czechs, for example, their ability to do business is much more higher, for example. And of course, increasing knowledge, learning new things. You have to adapt. Lifelong learning is here. It's also important for them, but not as important than good family relationship and financial situations. So Bridget just wrote that housing is also an issue in Ireland. Yes, the same issue is happening right now in Hungary, but living with your parents here in Hungary is, so how do we call that, hotel mom or mom hotels, or yes, this is the same thing in Hungary. We have a housing situation here in Hungary as well, especially in the bigger cities, in the capital. But that is not as a big problem or trouble for them than the other problems. So they just don't see that as a problem. And here comes and I will just sum up all my things. And here comes what you can do about that. So they said in 2020 that they absolutely or not favor these factors. And then we had a conversation with the university students in Győr about their plans and about their futures and how they feel about being an adult in Hungary. When will they feel themselves adults, for example? In researching the youngsters, so the topic of or the field of research of youngsters have that kind of certain life stages or career points when someone becomes an adult. And this was in modern societies. This was a really normal, and it was a well-known thing for everyone, or everyone could adapt to that. Okay, you have to learn, you have to get a diploma, you have to move out from the family house. This is a problem right now. You have to have a relationship with someone, you have to marry, you have to have kids, you have to have a career, you have to have a job where you will have an income from, and you have to have your own house or flat. These are the main stages of becoming an adult. And right now, these stages remain the same, but we have problems with that. So many of us just can't leave the family house. So the mom hotel is still available. Okay, goodbye, show me. If you have to leave, just leave. If you have to have a career, that's not an easy way to start a career right now, and you have to reschedule your career time to time. Okay, what do you want to learn? What is your learning path? That's not the same as it was 20 or 30 years ago. Everything's changed a lot. When do you want to have children, for example? The first child is born in every family when the parents are becoming older and older. So we have elderly parents right now in Hungary. So it's not a must. It's not a stage. It's just another somewhere in the future. And sometimes these children just won't born because they are just running out of time. So these stages, and that's why this is an important thing. So the next Hungarian youth survey, in order to have these stages, will be so the population. I was talking about the population of people surveyed, Hungarian young adults, from the year of 15 till the year of 29, and they will just move the higher so the upper part will be not 29-year-olds, but 35-year-olds. So they are still young adults. So it just changed because these stages changed a lot. And then we asked about it from our students, whether they feel themselves adults. What are their problems? What do they have to taken care of? And they said they just don't care about these things I was talking about because they are still in the university. They want to have fun. They want to travel. They want to have relationships. Of course, most of them have one, but they don't want to care about all these things because these are so messy things for them. And they just don't want to have the consequences, or they just don't want to bear the fact that they are adults and they have to cope with these problems and risks. So they want to be youngsters for a little bit more, and that's why they just don't take care of their insurances. And that's the last sentence I would be talking about, because there was that our research was because we made a research for an insurance company, and we wanted to know whether insurance companies can offer insurances to cope with these problems and risks. Can these young adults, do they know that some of these problems can be solved with a good insurance? No, they don't know. They just don't care about these things. They said, okay, I will have insurance. I will insure my things when I will be an adult, but I'm not an adult and I don't want to be an adult for years. So this is the case of using, they have an uncertainty, they have risks, they have problems, and they know they have to face more problems when they will be parenting, then when they will be adults, when they go out, and but they don't want to do anything about those things. They don't want to care about those things. Although if you want to insure your life, you have to start it early. So we heard from the Netherlands that a 15-year-old youngster have several insurances, for example. Mostly life insurances, of course, but they use that as to secure their lives, throughout the stages. They have to step on and on. So, and we don't have those, we don't have that kind of knowledge yet. So we have to move further. Why is that? And I have some questions for those who are not from Hungary. What do you see, how the young adults see their lives, see these stages, and how they can cope, or what do they say, how they want to cope with those problems and risks? Because here in Hungary, we just, I don't know, try to hide these things and have fun for some years on. I think I talked a lot, so I would just wrap it up here. If you have any questions or remarks, please feel free to ask. And I won't show you the main. Okay, I will show you, but just for a little while, what we come up with. That what do we need for an insurance literacy, and that's what we need. And the end of it is well-being, because everyone wants to have a good life. Everyone wants to have a normal life. Everyone wants to have a happy life. And all these things, you have to cope with all these things I was talking about before. And then insurance can be one part or one answer to one of the questions I raised before. Okay, thank you for listening to me. That was me. And if you have any questions,
so we can
remarks,
ask Peter all the awkward questions now. So
yes, all the awkward
as we go along. I'm just conscious, Karen, who joined a little bit later, but we're delighted you're here, Karen. So Karen asked, just kind of in thinking about this, just at a practical level, is health service free in Hungary?
Yes and no. That's the answer. Health service is free in Hungary. If you work, your employer will pay your health insurance. And if you are a student, your health insurance is paid by the government, by the state. And if you have your own venture, you have to pay for your health insurance if you need one. Then health care is free, although the quality of that health care is sometimes really poor. So if you want to have, if you don't have the time to wait for the service, or if you don't have the opportunity to, or there is no service, for example, in your town, because the healthcare is a regional healthcare in Hungary, then you can have the opportunity to go to ventures, to doctors and services that you will pay for.
Yes.
Although all those doctors and services are also in the state, so they also have a place in the state-owned hospitals, for example. So the same doctor will check you. If you go there for a free service and you have the time to wait for one service, then the same doctor can see you in 2 days or in a week, but you have to pay for that. So both opportunity is here, and right now we are moving toward a market-based healthcare in Hungary. So if you want to have good service, you have to pay. But health service is free. Government.
Yes. I don't know if you want to follow up on that.
So I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, apologies for being late. I got my GMT and CET mixed up. Yeah, we have a similar system in Ireland where we have a free you know, basic access level, and then there's a lot of private health insurance as well. I actually teach insurance to undergraduate students here in TUS Athlone, both general insurance and personal insurance products. So I'm really interested in that last slide that you've put up there. I'd like to read more about that sometime, please, if I can get access to that. I'd be very interested in that.
I'm really happy that you showed up. We are in the middle of the research, and we will have. We are trying to arrange a Scopus journal, which will be full of these research articles about this research. So this is a research. This is going on for 2 years now, and we made several stages. So there will be articles, lots and lots of articles.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. And just my just anecdotally, I know from talking to my own students here in Ireland, because we don't have a great public transport system, so a lot of our students would rely on cars, so they travel, you know, themselves to university. So they do have quite a good base knowledge, I would say, of the likes of, say, car insurance. But not so much on say, you know, as you said, you know, life assurance. Although they are interested, they are interested.
Is it compulsory to have a car insurance?
Yes,
in
yeah, it is compulsory, and it's expensive.
That's the same in Hungary as well.
Yeah, and it's very expensive, particularly at that lower, you know, age group level. So they are interested in it. They're interested in anything that will help them to access that cheaper, for sure. Again, anecdotally, I would say that their knowledge of other levels of insurance, like say house insurance and life insurance, isn't as good. But, you know, as the comment was made earlier, Bridget made the comment earlier, housing is a problem in Ireland. So, you know, buying your own home is becoming more and more difficult for that age group as well. But I'm very interested in your research. So thank you for that. Yeah, thank you.
Keep in touch, and I will send you the details. Yeah. And right now we have several Hungarian articles, but I think that won't fit your. If you know Hungarian, then feel free to use it. But that we will prepare some English materials as well, because we are aiming to, you know, these big journals right now. So
I'm conscious then, Peter, then we've been talking and had some input in terms of what Ireland is like. So I don't know, Sandra Marie, whether you want to come back in and talk a little bit about your own experiences of what, like whether Peter's findings about young people's experience in Hungary is similar to Portugal or it's different, and the kind of issues that people are facing. If you can identify with what you've just been listening to.
Yes, it is exactly as Peter says, because here in Portugal also more and more the youngsters cannot leave their mama's home because first there is not homes available. Everything had such an increase on the housing and on the rents. Also, we have another thing that is Portugal became since after the pandemic became one of the best places for the digital nomads to come and live. So we have a lot of that
digital nomads
in main Portugal and even on the islands, Madeira or Azores. So we have that, and it was interesting when Peter said that actually we cannot support the idea that these questionnaires that we are doing cannot stop in the age of the 29, but go further for the 35-year-old. Because I actually did that also in my thesis, because I thought, well, now in nowadays, when you are 35, you're still young, and most of them still not faced all the adult responsibilities as we older generation have assumed, in a sense. I cannot actually be the best reference in Portugal because I did my things a little bit different. So I was never married. I went to study. Then I had a child during my degree, and then I did not finish my degree. Then I support my child, and then after, when she was already 14, I returned to university and started studying again. So I cannot be the best example of, studying, then marrying and all of that. So I did things my way, as Frank Sinatra would say. But what I can see is that more and more here in Portugal, people are starting to have kids when they are 40s, for
Yes.
example. I have many of my friends, they are starting now to have kids, and now I have a daughter that is turning 21 and she's finishing her degree. So I have a different life, let's say like that. And also there is this problem, as Peter was describing, uh, a very big lack of insurance literacy, of financial literacy. People don't know. In Portugal, it's very common for the common people not to know how to manage their own financial things or even the insurance things. They have the car, as our colleague from Ireland was saying. They know the car, even the youngsters, they know the car insurance. But for the housing or even life insurance, they don't know, or even traveling insurance. When you are traveling for another country and you make that insurance, it's also great when you're going on holidays if something happens. But most of the people don't have that knowledge in Portugal. And Portugal, in my way of seeing it, uh, and as Peter was sharing his perspective of his own country, it's a little bit like mine in many senses. And now we are just starting now, for example, with the um, um, digital trying, well, at least trying to give to the youngsters and also to the older people some digital literacy, because most of them they don't know. And I can even say that this liquid society, as Bauman would say, it's really a mess for us, in the sense that we have to work harder for us. In a sense that before we would have one job in a lifetime, and now we actually, even me as being from social sciences and now taking my master in educational sciences and community development, I feel that I need to break another wall in terms of getting out there and start learning, for example, data science, because
Yeah.
now more and more they ask for it. We have already some skills in terms of research for qualitative and quantitative research, but now we need more and more to know Python and this and that. So it's a never-ending learning situation. Um, for me, it's okay because, as I said in the beginning, when I was in my kitchen, I'm a I'm a long time learner. For me, it's not a problem. I enjoy learning, but I know that not everybody is comfortable in a constant learning, and
Yes.
this act makes the people feel insecure about their own
Yes.
future, about their own um, capacities as well, because not everybody was made you know, for certain jobs. And we all of us have different skills. It's
Yes, for sure. I just lost you there for a second. I think, Peter, can I, sorry, Sandra, I've just kind of lost you for a second. Petra, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I just would have one question regarding to the research, but just go ahead, Bridget, and I can ask it after your comment.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, it's not really related to the insurance literacy. It's more related. My question is more related to the basic research that you have mentioned the fears or the most of the fears of the young adults. And I was wondering that you did say, Peter, that you haven't made any research on an international level, but I'm sure that you have made a huge literature review on this topic. So I was thinking about that. What was your experience? What are the main differences, or are there any differences between the countries? Between the fears of the countries, or is there any difference between the economic performance between people and countries and their fears? Because I believe there is a tight correlation between those factors. Yeah, I think that's all.
What a simple question to answer, really.
Yeah. Just as usual.
I would like to first react to Sandra's
yes, please.
Remarks, because I think we are in the same shape. Ireland, Portugal, and Hungary are all the periphery of this European conglomerate. So we are far from the center. And that's why I think we have the same situation. We have the same problem. We have, there are some differences between the periphery and the core regions of Europe, I think. So, yeah, thank you, Karen. These are the adult financial literacy, and I had to add because Sandra said that everything is become much more complex, and we have to study and learn constantly. Just to make an example of that, for example, about insurance literacy in Hungary. Our parents lived in the socialist era when there was only one insurance company in Hungary, and one bank. So if you wanted to do something about your financial whatever, you didn't have the choice. You just went in to the bank, to the insurance company. And after the transition, it became more obvious that this is not the case out there in the world, because these are services where there are several companies and they are competing with each other, and they want to give you the best choice, or they want to grab you into their system. So this was and it was like the Wild West in the financial and in the insurance services, considering the insurance services and the financial services in Hungary in the early 1990s, early 200s. So and things just don't change so rapidly, because if you are raised in a family that has a background that there is no choice, I don't have to look into it because there is no such thing as several services available, then the kids won't be taught how to do that. So we are the generation that has to learn everything from zero.
Yeah.
And if I can give it to my kids, then they will have that certain ground when they can build upon. But we were not taught. I think Petra and me we are in the same age group. So I would tell you an example how we could learn financial, I don't know, literacy, or how we can. In elementary school, we had certain kind of stamps. You could collect stamps, and then you were given a booklet, and then you can just put those stamps into those booklet. But there were nothing. So you just bought those stamps, and then you collected those stamps, and then you went to the bank, the one, and then all the money you were paid for those stamps were given back to you without any interest. It's nothing. So that was the financial literacy in the 1980s. So, and from that point, now I have to deal with, I don't know, unit-linked insurances and Revolut and whatever we have. So this is really not the similar cases. So I was born into that system, and right now this is a whole different system right now we are in.
Actually, Peter and Petra, I'm much older than you are, obviously, but my dad worked in insurance like when I was small, and the kind of insurance we had in terms of life insurance is very small scale, incremental. So he used to call to people's houses and they would insure all their children, and it might be equivalent of a shilling a week, or in old money, like, which would be maybe 50 cents a week, now, but that was the kind of investment, so each week a family of 5, they would call, and they would pay 50 cents for each child every week, and it would accumulate. Now that's kind of in the the late 60s into the 70s, so it's older than you. So I mean, relatively, the difference is there. So it's really interesting. That difference one. I'm interested because my research was around trust, and Petra has asked the question about, do we trust the insurance companies anyway, or do we trust any, and that's probably one of the big issues underlying a lot of the vulnerability or sense of uncertainty, is kind of like that idea that we don't have a trust in like big institutions. I mean, one of the things I was really struck from your earlier research, Peter, was the extent to which we're worried about the politicians and how they might make a whole mess of it altogether. I'm taken with that, because I wouldn't have thought that was as high, because we all live in a relatively stable democracy, relatively. And like even the survey among the colleagues here was showing that one to be particularly high, when we did the survey ourselves. So I'm just curious about that one, and whether you want to respond to that, those issues of trust and the issue of the political system.
First, about trust. Yes, trust is something. Trust in banks and trust. Also, if we have several research on trust here in Hungary, and the last on the list, so the less untrusted group of people here in Hungary are politicians. So they are the last on the list. Banks are much more higher on the list of trust than politicians. The highest trust in Hungary, if we are talking about institutions, are the firefighter brigades and those who are working on emergency cars. So those we are trusting them, because our lives depends on them. But politicians are the least one, and then comes, I think, we don't trust the police. We don't trust the parliament. We won't trust the government. So our trust is really low if we take these groups into consideration. And banks and financial services are much more trusted than these groups, but they are not the highest trusted institutions in Hungary. So yes. Karen,
sorry, yes, go ahead. Karen asked the question or comments on that.
Karen asked the question about where do they get their information. Yes, we asked these questions, and they just don't have information. They have the information from the family, which is misinformation, because we have our parents, our grandparents don't have enough information on these things. So all these new opportunities we have right now. For example, if we are talking about Revolut or all these financial apps we have apps for insurances as well here in Hungary, because one of the insurance companies make Hungary its playground for their apps. This is a big insurance company, a German one, and they tested the app here in Hungary, and then they introduced the app in Germany as well. So they use Hungary as a playground, and so we have several innovations here. But no, they just don't get the information, and that's what we discussed this with the insurance company, so the representative of the insurance company, because the whole research come from the research questions, or the connection, or the whole topic just was raised by a cooperation with a insurance company, a Hungarian insurance company, and we told them that your next generation of people who will seek or search for your services, they just don't know anything about you, because your channels are not for them.
I suppose my concern was more about, the use of social media, and
you mean the TikTok influencers and the TikTok financial guys.
Exactly.
They laugh on those guys. They just don't take them seriously.
The young people in your survey?
Yeah, they said
really?
that those are clowns.
Okay, right. Okay. Yeah. And again, I haven't conducted, any research, but just anecdotally, what worries me certainly amongst some of the students that I teach is that they do pay attention to some of these, particularly, these get rich quick schemes and Bitcoin and all of this.
They
that worries me.
These. Yeah. They know about these get rich quick schemes, but they just don't trust. They just don't trust these guys. No.
That's good to hear.
They said it's okay, but these are university students.
Yeah.
So if we do the research among the younger generation,
yeah.
So TikTok is for elementary school students and for the high school students or secondary school students. I think they have an impact on them. I think they have an impact. Yes.
Okay.
And I have one more example of what is a really, really interesting group of people among youngsters who come up, and we were really shocked when we watched these guys react, because we had focus groups, and in every focus group there were several kind of students from several majors, and one major just popped out because they were so different from the others. They were so adults. They had so many knowledge on the whole thing. Can you guess what major were they from?
Engineering.
No, No, engineering students just don't care about anything. They just don't care. They just don't care about insurance. They don't care about financial. No.
Oh, okay.
They care about the salary they will get when they.
This is not true.
They just care about the salary. But
Sandra has an answer.
No.
Yeah, I would say economics, because they are always thinking.
No.
Oh.
No.
I have no financial or economics. That would be my guess.
No, because if you study economics, it's so theoretical. It's not practical. And these things are practical things. Okay.
I would have thought law would be the one that I thought.
No.
Okay, you'll have to share, Peter. There's only one thing.
Agriculture students.
Oh, the farmers.
The farmers.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
Because they're always thinking about money and it's always unpredictable.
Because they are part of the family business.
Yes.
Since they are little kids, they are part of the family's business. They're part of the farm. They know that if they don't calculate, if they don't make crunch numbers, if they just don't plan, because you have to plan for a year in advance, then everything will be messy and you won't get the money out of it, because so you have to plan. And they were really really knowledgeable. They had because they have insurance on their farming equipment. They have insurance on the crop. They have insurance on their houses, on the land. They have everything.
Public liability insurance and everything.
So agriculture and agriculture is a so pre-modern thing. So this is out of the liquid modernity, because if you just have a land and you have crops and you have animals, that is the same. It was 2,000 years ago. That's the same. And they have a solid ground. They have a solid background. They have a solid knowledge. Everything is solid. So they just don't have to reconfigure everything. They have the framework. What we are missing, all the others are missing.
Wow, that's really interesting. Sandra, do you want to, I'm just conscious of the time, so do you want to come back in fairness to you, because we've been chatting?
I was just going to say that actually the agriculture people, let's say like this, even they have the blessing of they don't need to be always learning, in a sense that everything is already done. So they know that they have to rotate the land if they need to. So everything is already at their disposal for them to do. And it's very interesting. When you said agriculture, I was like, yeah, but Peter is right, because they starting very young, working with the family, and so they have that sense of being a young adult even earlier than the rest, because also due to our societies and the way that society has been developing from the last centuries, the thing is that we want kids to go, of course, to school to study, but the ones that are already since young kids working on a farm, they develop and they get more mature as adults than the rest, because they assume the responsibilities of a life on an early stage.
Yeah.
This is what I want.
This is the case.
Oh, it seems a terrible place to leave this conversation at this point in time. I think I live on a farm, and I think the farmers in Ireland would feel that the world is shifting underneath them at the moment as well, because there's so many expectations in so many different places and so many different controls and methodologies and requirements and uncertainties kind of facing them. But the principle of what you're saying, I totally agree with. I mean, you know, there's, if you grow up on a farm, you do have to learn, and that's an interesting place we've ended up from, because we were talking about young adults, risks, fears, and insurance, and I'm fascinated about how we ended up talking about agriculture. Peter, it's been a fascinating, I mean, this workshop was your idea really at the end of the day, and it's been fascinating to listen to the research, and been fascinating to hear the interaction between kind of different types of research and research resources. I mean, in Ireland, I just posted about growing up in Ireland, because it's a huge database that can be used for research, like in the same kind of space as you. I mean, there are really big databases for researchers to make the most of, like your longitudinal survey, and they provide really significant information at the end of it all, which is probably something we're not mining half enough of, I feel, from our point of view. It's also great to see Karen, who's also my colleague. Probably never would have come across her before, because I'm based in Thurles, and in social science and environmental science as well. So it's been a really wonderful experience. I want to thank Petra for really being the organizer of this. And Petra is a mine of knowledge. Every time we have a meeting that Petra's at, I get a real sense of kind of knowing how this is supposed to work in the first place. So it's been fantastic. And to Sandra and everybody else who wasn't able to maybe engage the best way that they could, delighted that you could join us. And Peter, I don't know if you want to say anything by way of conclusion, because it has been your wisdom we've been relying on for this workshop.
No, you concluded everything. So that's it for today. I must say thank you for the really, really good remarks. I learned a lot from these chats and from your remarks. I will take all these with me, and I put it back into the research we are doing right now. Please keep in touch. If now we have some common ground, I think.
We
So
will. It will be great.
Yeah, if anyone needs help or resources, I'm here. I'm available.
Thank you very much. And I think one of the things we've been speaking about in the past in terms of running you was the idea of co-supervising, say, projects. That's been some of the conversation we've had, which we've like left tenuously. But I mean, sounds like maybe there's a real connection between Karen's kind of work area and your work area as well, which might be something that, as we work along, that we can develop more context in. So thank you very much, and lovely to meet you, Sandra. Delighted that you are here with us as well, and perhaps we'll have contact again in the future. So thank you to everybody. Bon voyage. Have a great day now that we figured out what time of the day it is in Ireland and CET and everything else. So well done. No, Karen, it's me usually. I have to check it 20 times. Every time I see it, I have to go, okay, where am I? So well done, everybody. It's not a snipe at you. It's me. It's as anything else. Okay, so take good care, everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye all. Thank you.